everyone, good evening and welcome to Is and Our Stories with DK Jonah. So this is a new one we're doing. Before every show, if I have a guest or once a month, I'll bring you down on the couch with me and we have a conversation about the topics we're discussing. And I am not alone today. I have the amazing Tony with me again. You've come on my show once, so I'll say welcome back on Reconcilers
Thank
Radio
you.
and welcome back to Is and Our Stories.
Thank
So
you.
today we are discussing, or next week we're discussing on communication in the family, and I felt that she was the best person to bring on board because she's a mom, a grandmother, my friend's mother-in-law. So I just felt that you know what, I need to have someone that understands the dynamics of families and has worked with most more families than I have because she has the experience with the charities that she runs that she will tell us a lot more about later. But thank you so much for joining us
You're
today
welcome.
and welcome to the family.
Thank you.
So, what do you think about the topic we're discussing on communication in the family?
Well, it's so important because there is a lot of problems that can be resolved if communication is adjusted.
Okay.
So it's something that has to be talked about almost in a continual manner
Okay.
because you really don't get to, there is no hard and fast about the rules of this is what you do, this is what you don't do.
Yes.
It's a thing that's an ongoing process.
Yes.
So it's something that needs to be talked about all the time, basically.
Okay. I remember I told you a story one day of a teenager that I had in my group, and the first thing you said was there's no communication between the mother and daughter, and
Yes.
I didn't see it from that perspective. I just felt the daughter was being unruly and she wasn't being responding to her parents. And you said it must have started from somewhere. We have to
Yeah,
trace it back and resolve it because if we do not go back to the root of the problem, we cannot just deal with it
exactly. You'd
now.
also be dealing with the symptoms. It's always better to, like I said the other day, I'm sure there are quite a number of things that the daughter is seeing that the mom is not seeing from that perspective.
Yes.
And it's always so unfortunate because the mother feels, oh, this girl is not even listening to me. And the
True.
child feels, mommy doesn't even care about what is important to me.
Yes.
So invariably, the two of them are from completely different angles of
Interesting.
the table, and they can't just get anything done. So until they understand that they need to discuss and a lot of times they are just talking to people. We are not discussing because when you are discussing, there is a response, and
Mm-hmm.
then the person can say something. You can know about what they're actually thinking in their mind, as opposed to what you think they should be thinking.
Mm.
Because that's what happens most of the time. People assume, particularly parents, we assume what is going on in the mind of the child. Unfortunately, the child also thinks, oh, because mom is older, she should understand how I feel. Invariably, the two of them are assuming what each other knows.
Mm.
And then, rather than anything good happening, the gap continues to just widen until it gets to a stage you can't just even get anything done,
Interesting.
which is so sad.
It is sad because you see so many, you hear so many stories of people of people acting in ways that we as adults cannot understand, but you never take it from the teenager's perspective. And I think that's what I loved about what you said that day. You said someone needs to listen to them, and that's why you try and bridge the communication gap by talking to these girls. But you realize that it wasn't enough to counsel the girls. The parents had to be brought in because they have to work together.
Absolutely.
And I found that really interesting because the first thing I said was discipline. Maybe she needs to be disciplined, or
Yeah.
she, and it's about correcting with love, like
Yeah,
you told
which
me.
which unfortunately most of the time doesn't really solve the problem.
Okay.
Because if a parent decides, oh, when I discipline this child, she's going to change, and then the child is thinking, if mom really loves me, she will be wondering why I did what I do. And then sometimes, even some form of disobedience might be a kind of a cry for help, a
Mm.
cry for listen to me. You see, a lot of times the problems people, human beings generally, the problems we have is that we hear people, we are not listening. Because when you are listening, it goes beyond hearing. You
Mm-hmm.
are hearing, you are processing what the person is saying, you are thinking about what you want to do, and you are taking an action. That is when you listen. That's the difference. But a lot of times we are hearing stuff. We don't listen, we don't process it. We don't know what is going on for that child in the school. Maybe when she's in the school, she has a lot of problems. Somebody is bullying her. A friend that she trusted so much has just let her down. And she thinks, when I get home, maybe I can even talk to mommy. And mom is like not even ready to listen. Not even appreciating the fact that she could have had a kind of day at school. So it's a long thing. It's a very long thing, because with the little experience we get when we work with the girls we work with, it's such a shame that there is so much gap between the parents and the children, and a lot of times the parents are completely unaware of this need. So they just go on like that, and the problem continues to deepen until a point the whole relationship breaks down.
Interesting. I want to go deeper into it, but you have to join us on Tuesday to get it. But what we want you to do is send us your questions you have regarding communication with. It could be even regarding sharing, because I was telling you about sharing, and I said sharing is when parents overshare online, and your reaction was sometimes some things they share may embarrass the kids, but the parent is like, I find it funny, so you should find it funny also. We'll be talking about sharing, we're talking about technology, whether technology is bridging the gap or even making it wider, because sometimes we can all be in the same room but we're on our devices. And you said something, families no longer sit down to share meals
They don't have that time anymore, which is a shame. It's a shame, because that's the time that they will have otherwise had to talk about things that is common to members of the family. But everybody seems to be on their own these days. It's ridiculous, because right inside the family, people are isolated within their family. Because some people think isolation is when you are on your own, you live alone, you have no friend, you have no neighbor. No, one could be isolated in a crowd. Because if you don't feel like you are belonging in that place, if you don't feel anybody is hearing or listening to you, then you will be isolated within a crowd.
I've never seen it from that
Yeah,
perspective, but it is true.
It is a biggie, but a lot of people don't look at it from that perspective.
I think I love the fact that you're bringing a different perspective on Reconcilers Radio, and you are joining the family. We'll talk more about that, and she'll tell us how she's joining and how she wants to play a role. But I think the only way you can help people is if people actually come and talk about it and share what you're going through. So like I said, if you have any questions regarding communication, or it may not be communication, any topic, why don't you send us a message? You can send an email to dkjonah@gmail.com or dkjonah@dkjonah.com. And yes, I created those. And we will share it on the show on Tuesday. But thank you so much for joining me today on the couch. And hopefully we'll get to do more of these sessions where we can break down questions and get together and try our best to help families grow together. So thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you.